Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Bailey, and I am the managing editor of this fine publication called Music in Minnesota. Tonight I'm sitting here with my friend Ryan Shaw. You might know him as his alter ego. Is it an alter ego?
Sure.
Alter ego? I like that. Alter ego. He goes by Anachronist. He is an EDM. EDM? Is that... What umbrella do you fall under?
It's hard. I go with electronic, which is
Okay.
so vague that it could be possibly anything.
But it allows you to plug into
It does.
whatever. It allows you the freedom to expand or
Right.
or hone in on something that you
I
really
would never
enjoy.
want to be boxed in to a specific genre. I would always want to feel like I can do sort of whatever I want. I have that creative freedom. So
Perfect. All right, well, we're here tonight because he has an album coming out later this month.
Yes.
February 26th.
February 26th.
February 26th, new album. What's it called?
For the time being.
For the time being, February 26th. So I'm going to ask him a few questions, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. All right, so for anybody who might not know you or hasn't heard any of your music before, just a blank slate, tell me who you are. Give me a 30-second elevator pitch.
So I am the Anachronist. I make electronic music based on any sort of interesting thing I happen to hear or think about or discover, when I'm in the mode of production and creation. Writing songs is one of my favorite things to do, is just create sonic journeys from one end to the next. And so I find that synths are a really complex and unique way of exploring that, because everyone's sound design when it comes to synths is just a little different. And so I just want to be able to bring my flair to the table.
Love it. Love it. So, like I said, we're here because you have a new album coming out on February 26th called For the Time Being. Tell me a little bit about the creative process of that album, maybe the inspiration of the album, and give me an elevator pitch for the album.
Right. So the album is definitely a sort of culmination of the things that I've been curating as far as songs I've written. I'm pretty much writing songs all the time, and I sort of like to keep things indiscriminately as long as there's something that I like about it. And I like to apply those sort of things to future projects whenever it seems thematic or appropriate. So the new album is sort of a culmination of that and my progress as an engineer in terms of audio. So how I've put the album together, how it sounds, and how all the songs play against each other. It's still as diverse as all of my other records. I'm a huge fan of diversity on an album. I love not hearing the same song one after another. And if you think enough about it, it does form a sort of loose emotional through line. So there are sort of like emotional highs and lows that you feel sort of as the album goes on. It's definitely constructed to be listened to from front to back.
Because not everybody does that these days.
Right.
It's sort of a single. We do one single at a time. I love cohesive albums.
And you'll actually find 2 interludes on the album. That kind of break it up into sort of 3 acts: first act, second act, and third act.
Nice.
So yeah.
So you only have one feature on the album, and that's from an artist I know you're pretty close with, Natanya L.
Yes.
Song's called Echoes.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that collaboration and how that came together.
Yeah. So originally, we were both opening for a set for Chad Atkins. Another local musician, electronic artist. Go check him out.
Yeah, good.
Excellent.
Good stuff.
And when that was the same night that I had met Natanya, and watching her set, she's such an excellent performer.
Yes.
And so
very energetic, very great.
And we talked a little bit after the show, and pretty much decided that we would collaborate on something. and she's such a talented vocalist. I wanted to put her on a track that I'd had for a while that I always figured needed something like that. And then we got into the studio to record her, and I was blown away by her unprocessed voice.
Okay.
And I know that her auto-tune is a huge part of her sound, but just listening to her voice, I couldn't bring myself to put the effect on her. So
it's powerful.
So when you hear her on this record, that is her. She is impeccable, and it was such a blessing to work with her.
That's awesome. All right, so getting into some non-album related stuff, who are some of your inspirations for making music?
So I think the big one that most people can hear is Daft Punk.
Okay, I do pick up on that a little bit, yeah.
Especially their more electronic-y sort of sounding stuff. The really kind of synth-heavy stuff is really, really huge for me.
Okay.
Carpenter Brut.
Okay.
I think I'm pronouncing that right. I've never actually figured out.
Never looked it up.
It's B-R-U-T.
It's sort of like Anachronist.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows?
Anachronist. Anachronist.
Anarchist, sure.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got a great selection of music.
Okay.
It's all sort of like this dark synth wave sort of stuff. Great for like video games. And
sure.
All that kind of stuff. The M Machine is a big one that I don't think many people are too familiar with them.
Okay.
They released 2 EPs on Skrillex's label maybe about 8 or so years ago, and I maintain that those 2 EPs are some of the best electronic music to come out of that time. It's called Metropolis, if anyone's interested. Metropolis Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
There's like a story that goes along with it, too, that you can read on their website. I think it's still there.
Interesting.
Their new album is Glare is super great, but
okay.
I don't know if many people can hear that just because they're not so popular. They're not like an obvious Daft Punk.
It's a deep cut. It's a deep cut.
Yeah,
okay.
If you haven't heard of M Machine,
look them up.
Go look up M Machine. They're great.
Okay, so I guess this kind of brings us into, if you had to pick, give me 3 people, 3 artists, 3 groups, all time. Who do you want to collaborate with in your lifetime?
Okay, well, Daft Punk.
Okay.
I need to see what goes on, both in their heads and just like.
Do we know what they look like? I've never seen.
Yes.
We do know what they look like? Okay.
Well, we know what the leaders behind the group look like. We don't know what the robots look like. Because it's part of their mythology.
Sorry.
Robots
okay.
now.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I dropped the ball on that one. Okay. So Daft Punk, number 1. Who's number 2?
Of course. Number 2 might be a little weird, but Skrillex.
Okay.
Skrillex is so good at what he does. So good. And he's the nicest dude.
Okay.
And I think that if I had to like spend 8 hours in a studio slaving over some sort of thing, I think he'd be the best person to do that with. I feel like he'd be positive and he'd teach me a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I think that'd be great.
Okay. So number 3.
Number 3. I think I'd have to go with probably like one of the old synth masters.
Okay.
Probably someone like Mort Garson.
Okay.
Which there is a little bit of an homage to him on my new record.
Okay.
The intro to the track Green Things is heavily inspired by his record Plantasia.
Little Easter egg here.
Which is a record that he made for plants.
Okay.
It's music specifically
so
tailored.
You play it. You have a little, like a little garden, or like individual plants. What is?
Well, there's a different track for different types of plants.
So, of course, of course,
right? You got to pick the one that's the best fit for it.
That's interesting.
So
I remember reading a study about music impacting plants. I think they played like Celine Dion and Slayer, and it was like the Slayer one died.
Oh, what?
The Celine Dion one was huge. I don't know. I'm probably making that up in my head, but whatever.
It's the distortion.
Yeah.
The plants can't handle it.
Who knows?
They're not metal enough.
All right, so one of the things I read when I was preparing for this interview was something that was written on your BandCamp page. And I'm going to look at my phone because I don't want to ruin this. It says, Anachronist is a creature displaced in time, creating melodic sandboxes out of things he's seen. What the fuck does that mean?
I figured somebody would point that out eventually. So the idea is that Anachronist is this sort of character or figure that is sort of displaced in time in that they don't really belong to any sort of time period.
Okay.
Which goes along with sort of the retro wave theme of most of the music that I make. As far as melodic sandboxes go, one of my favorite things about songs is when there's just this sort of cacophony of harmonies and melodies going on, and it feels like it's almost encouraging you to sing along however you want.
Okay.
Like you don't have to follow the melody that's already written, or the chords are so complex that you can hit notes and not feel like you did it wrong.
Okay.
And that is some of my favorite music because I feel like it's accessible to anyone.
Okay.
Even if you don't understand music at like the theory level.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I love it. I think that is simultaneously the most incredible and the most confusing thing I've ever read in my entire life.
Well, thank you.
And after listening to your music and now that explanation, it starts to make sense. I like that you want people to take your music and make whatever out of it. It's you want them to consume it how they consume it.
Exactly.
And I love that. I laughed. I think I set down my phone. I was like, what the hell did I just read? But I love it. I think it's incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
One more non-album related question for you.
Cool.
What's your favorite thing about making music? What does it for you what makes you get out of bed and just create? What is it for you?
It's got to be the freedom.
Okay.
The freedom of not necessarily being wrong, being able to kind of do what you want to do as it sort of pops into your head. Okay. Which can be a little difficult for, I'm sure, any creative out there where you're questioning yourself and you're not sure. But I think that once you get past that, it becomes this sort of great way to just lose yourself and sort of lose time, honestly, in just crafting and creating. And I feel like there's something really cathartic about that.
Cool. Well, I think that answers all my questions for you. Thank you so much for sitting down with me tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
February 26th, new album. What's it called?
For the Time Being.
For the Time Being, February 26th. Everywhere, Spotify, Apple
BandCamp,
Music,
Apple
SoundCloud,
Music, Google Play,
all of
everywhere.
That. Follow him on Facebook, The Anachronist.
THEE Anachronist.
Instagram, Anachronist Official.
Yes, sir.
Follow him. Follow us, Music of Minnesota. My name's Justin Bailey, managing editor. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Have a good one.